Well, fishing's in the news, and the Tory party are all at sea in fishing. Some time ago, a very eagle-eyed journalist called David Perry, who worked for the Press and Journal, spotted in the 30-year-old release of documents something really interesting from 1973. So it was 2003. And David trawled through the documents and he found a quote from a civil servant, an anonymous civil servant. That's what it said. In light of Britain's wider European interests, they, the Scottish fishermen, are expendable. Now, that was true in 1973. It was true when it was found out in 2003, and we can find out again that it's true now. Now, that civil servant, incidentally, wasn't advocating that the interests of Scottish fishermen should be expendable. On the contrary, he was sorrowfully shaking his head and looking at the wreckage of negotiations on fishing and saying, look, Ted Heath was more interested in other things than he would ever be on Scottish fishing. Why do I think it's true again now? Well, just listen to what the Prime Minister had to say on the 1st of March in our big European speech in the Mansion House. The Prime Minister said, the European Union itself is rightly taking a tailored approach in which it is seeking with the United Kingdom. For example, on fisheries, the Commission has been clear that there are no precedents exist for the sort of access it wants from the UK. She went on to say very nice things about cherry picking, and her point was there was cherry picking on both sides. So the Commission wanted to cherry pick on fisheries, while the UK wants to cherry pick on financial access to European markets. When it comes to the balance of advantage between the financial sector in the UK and the Scottish fishing industry, which one do you think will win out? Now, what's happened in the last 10 days is very instructive. On the 11th of March, Michael Gove and Ruth Davidson, an irresistible combination, said there was to be no deal on fisheries during the transition period. Total control of fisheries in that period. Now, 10 days later, that is washed up on the beach. Scottish Tory MPs rallied behind their leader. Now, we know if they were Ulster Unionists, the Prime Minister would have backed down. But does she have to back down for Scottish Tory MPs? No. They've gone from no surrender on fisheries to it wasn't me in the space of some 10 days. Because the reality, the hard reality is that if it comes to the balance of Britain's interests, then Scottish fishermen and fishing communities are expendable. What would be the best thing for Scottish fishing? Well, it has to be the priority. The real issue has always been that fishing has never been a priority at Westminster and never will be. It'll be a good protocol for Sky Television over the next few days, but not a priority when it comes to negotiating state interests. It can only be that if it's a vital part of the economy, as of course it is in Scotland. You ask any Scottish fisherman, which would be the country you would like to emulate in terms of its fishing policy? And they would say Norway. Because Norway in fishing, of course, has the best of both worlds. Has guaranteed access to the single marketplace. You can send Norwegian fish to Bratislava and nobody can say boo to you. But it also controls its resource. Of course, it negotiates for access. It has the EU-Norwegian deal every single year. But it does so from a position of strength. For the fishing industry in Scotland, you want to have access to the single market. You want to be able to send your fish across the continent and indeed across the world. Nobody's frightened of free movement of labour. Our processing industry largely depends on free movement of labour. But we'd also like to control the resource as well. So when you start to think about what's best for fishing, then you need an independent government either sitting at a top table or alternatively, like Norway, able to defend the interests of its vital industries. If you don't have that, then from here and ever after, and in 2 years' time, incidentally, when it comes to the long-term deal, when it comes to the negotiations, fishing will be traded away. It will be, in the words of that civil servant in 1973, expendable.